The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College. This is the Chris Ash Show, your chance to talk with the head coach of the Scarlet Knights on the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Tonight's show is brought to you by To be a part of the show, give us a call at 1-877-384-1869. That's 877-384-1869. Here's your host, Chris Carlin.
Welcome, everybody, to the Chris Ash Show. It's week 3 of the Scarlet Knights season coming up as Rutgers hosts Boston College. Chris Carlin alongside Eric LeGrand. Eric, how are you, brother?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
I'm great. And, of course, the head coach of the Scarlet Knights coming off a bye week is Chris Ash. Coach, how are you?
Doing great.
How are we doing? Coach, you had the bye week, and it's a little bit different. We'll start there because you have 2 bye weeks this year, and that is a little bit different. So how did you handle that in terms of the team, especially having one this early in the season?
Yeah, it is different, especially having one early in the season and having one later. And we just looked at the 2 bye weeks where they fell and kind of come up with some objectives that we wanted to get done with our football team. First and foremost, we wanted to make sure our team got some rest. You know, it's been a long training camp in the first couple weeks of the season. We wanted to spend a lot of time in self-evaluation, evaluate everything that we've done in the first 2 weeks, the goods, the bads, things that we can do better, need to do better, things that we may need to eliminate. So we spent a lot of time with that, and then just developing our team, going out and having some really good productive practices. In practice, we developed some fundamentals, worked on some scheme adjustments that we may need to make. We developed some of our younger players, a lot of time with our younger players, and it was productive, really productive. And then we got on the road and recruited a couple days at the end of the week.
And when you have a bye week like that, do you go into trying to do good on good one-on-ones, the ones versus the ones, and twos versus twos when you go into that bye week? You're just so early in the week, or do you kind of lean back and, like you said, develop the younger guys a little bit, but do you get the good-on-good reps also? Yeah,
it's a little bit of all. We do want to go good-on-good as much as we can. I'm a big believer in that. That's the only way you improve as you go through the season. But we spent some time allowing each side of the ball, some look squad people and giving them an opportunity to work on the things that they needed to work on, slow it down, walk, talk, teach, whatever tempo they needed for the situation. But we did get a lot of good on good, and every day we got some good developmental work with our younger players as well.
Our telephone number to talk to the coach tonight here from the Provident Bank Stadium Club at SHI Stadium, 877-384-1869, 877-384-1869. You can also tweet us your questions for Coach Ash at Rutgers Radio. That's at Rutgers Radio. Coach, when you look back the week before, obviously it was a disappointing trip out to Iowa. What were the things that you took out of that game that you were looking to build on specifically going into that bye?
Well, to start, just leading up to the game, I thought we had some really good practices, some good preparation. I really thought our team was as focused and excited about playing that game as we have for really any game since I've been here. I really felt good about it. And it was kind of like getting ready to run. I mentioned this before to the media, kind of like getting ready to run a 100-yard dash, all the work that you put in, all the time and effort, and then you false start, and that's really kind of the way I looked at it. We had good practices, good focus, good energy. We were ready to play. The things I took out of it, again, I think defensively, for the most part, 3 of the 4 quarters, especially fourth quarter, kind of got away from us a little bit. But we played some good, solid football, especially our defensive line. It's probably the best game our defensive line unit has played in the last few years. So I was really pleased with that. I thought our linebackers ran and hit and defended the run fairly well. Again, until late in the game, we had a couple runs break out on us. Special teams, I thought, played well, especially our punt unit with Adam Korsak, and the opportunity to flip the field position the way that we did in that game gave us an opportunity to do some things. We just didn't take advantage of it. So those are some of the positives I took out of it.
And when you got Adam Korsak, your punter, who can putting the ball, as we saw, inside the 5-yard line, inside the 10-yard line, whatever it is, how much does that help give confidence, I guess, to the defense if they have to be out there and try to get, maybe some turnovers, or does it allow them to, I guess, be more aggressive going after the ball, trying to make a big play down there?
Well, yeah, anytime that you can feel like you can pin the opponent inside the 10-yard line or even inside the 5 like Adam was able to do in that game, it's a lot easier to go out and play defense from down there. Unfortunately, we gave up a long drive. We had them pinned down, I think it was on the 1 or 2 yard line, and they got out of there, and we gave up a score in one of those situations, and that was disappointing. But Adam has done a great job, and it's not just Adam; it's the snapper. Billy Taylor does a great job. He's consistent, and then our gunners, the way they get down the field, and to get down there just because the ball hits inside the 10-yard line, there's no guarantee it's going to stop. We got to get down there, and we've got to down it, and those guys have done a great job on that unit.
Coach, it seems remarkable at times the way he's able to almost control the ball. It's an oblong object. You're not supposed to be able to control it that well. Is it explainable? Because I'm going to ask him. He's actually going to join us a little bit later in the program, but it's just unfathomable to me the way he hits it. It's like a beautiful pitching wedge if you're actually capable of doing that.
Yeah, the analogy of the pooch punt is very similar to golf. There's not a lot of shots that you actually take off of the tee, and take the big shots. And punting is very similar like that. The specialty kicks are the ones that usually make or break you as a punter, and Adam's really good at those specialty punts. And, if there's a key to it, you'd have to ask him. I'm not going to be able to even begin to try to explain what he does, but it's pretty fun to watch, I can tell you that.
On the offensive side now, Coach, what are some things after you sit back and look at the film? You see some good, some bad. Always, like I said, it's never as good as you think, and it's never as bad as you think. So when you sat back and look at the film,
well, the disappointing thing is it wasn't what we had seen through training camp and through the week of practice. And a lot of that credit goes to the team that we played. They played exceptionally well on defense. They're stout up front. We're a team that wants to run the ball. They did a great job of taking the run away. There were some plays available in the game, early in the game, that we just didn't make, that if we would have, it would have created some momentum and may have changed the flow of the game and got some points on the board early. But we didn't make them, and we have to be able to make them. And the other thing that we've got to be able to do when you play a team like that is pretty stout up front and can stop the run, we have to be able to advance the ball through the air, and we were not able to do that. And the frustrating part of that is we have spent a lot of time trying to develop our pass game coming out of last season. I really liked where we were at, but we have to go back, and we did in the bye week and just look at all of it. What can we protect? What can the quarterback throw based on the team that we play? Because not every team that you play is going to be the same. The situation is going to be potentially more difficult as we go through the league. So that's really what we spent a lot of focus on here in the bye week, is just trying to reevaluate it, look at what we can do with all 11 guys doing the job that they're asked to do on those particular plays. And I think we're coming out of it right now feeling that we have improved and we know what we can do.
We are talking, of course, with Rutgers head coach Chris Ash right here on 1450 AM WCTC and on RVision on Facebook, on the Rutgers, or rather on the Scarlet Knights app as well. Our telephone number 877-384-1869, or tweet us your questions for the coach. When you look at defense, you mentioned how well the defensive line played. Was there a particular aspect that you saw improve? Was it pass rush? Was it better against the run in spots? What did you see overall? Yeah,
I think we were a lot firmer at the point of attack. I think we controlled our gaps on the line of scrimmage. In the past, when you play against a good offensive line, a big physical offensive line that likes to run the ball, as the game would go on, we would wear down, and that line of scrimmage would start to move, when they would try to run the ball. And I never felt that or saw that after watching the game. We missed fit a couple runs where we weren't necessarily, in the right spots, and it wasn't the defensive line. Could have been a linebacker or a DB, or we missed a tackle where a run, got out when we were in the right spot. So there were some of those issues that came up in the fourth quarter. The disappointing part defensively, we just weren't able to put together a very solid four-quarter game. 3 of the 4 quarters I'm really pleased with. They had right at 101 yards rushing as we started the fourth quarter, and if you would have asked me before the game started if that we were at that position, if I would take it, I'd probably have said yes. We could have finished that game pretty solid, but we didn't, and that's the unfortunate thing.
And then looking at the defensive backs, obviously, there was some penalties in the game that cost you big time. But when you look at the film and everything, was there certain things that stuck out to you that could be fixable, could be changed, and how do you work with that when you went into the bye week?
Yeah, I know I've heard a lot of people talk about a couple of pass interference calls. I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly concerned about those. Mm-hmm. There's aggressive penalties and there's foolish penalties. Mm-hmm. And if it's a foolish penalty, I am worried about that. We want to play an aggressive style of technique with our corners. We're going to challenge receivers and challenge routes. And when you do that, you're going to have to live with an occasional pass interference call. So I don't have any issues with that. I'd rather be playing aggressive instead of passive and letting them take the game to us. And but there are a couple of foolish ones that we should have avoided and could have avoided, especially late in the game there, that could have helped us with field position. But as long as we're playing aggressive, I can live with those. We just got to clean up some technique more than anything.
I want to ask you about one specifically, just from a good play standpoint, right before the end of the half, when they were trying to drive in, and they threw one kind of toward the left corner, and it got called for pass interference, but it actually doesn't really do anything at that point, and they ended up kicking a field goal. Was that something that was, I've seen other teams do it intentionally before in that spot. Was that something that you coached them to do?
No, he was trying to make a play and got called. But there are some situations where you would rather take a penalty versus a potential explosive play or a touchdown. And that wasn't necessarily one of those situations. He was trying to make a play. The receiver did have a step on him, and he was trying to catch up. But it did work out in our favor because we held him to a field goal in that situation.
Coach, the one thing I was mistaken in not asking you earlier is just how McLean Carter's doing. He, as we know, got banged up in the game and played in just the first half.
Yeah, McLean is day-to-day. He's in concussion protocol. He's doing well. Actually doing very well, right now. So just day-to-day for him to return to practice and preparation and things like that. But it's all up to the training staff, the medical staff, our team doctors to make that decision. But he is doing great.
When you got to deal with, the training staff dealing with the protocol, how hard is it, I guess, figuring out a game plan and also trying to figure out if you can get your guy back going into the weekend? You had the bye week, which helped, obviously, so you didn't need to go right back out there for that last Saturday. But going into now this week, how is that going back and forth with the doctors and the trainers and trying to figure out how you're going to execute your offense?
Well, when you talk about executing the offense, we have nothing but 100% confidence and faith in Art Sitkowski to go out there. That was a close battle during training camp to begin with, and the edge went to McLean slightly there at the end of camp. But we're fortunate enough right now that we have some experience at the quarterback position and some depth at that position that we feel really good about whoever is out there. And so we've kind of proceeded as McLean's not going to be there, and that's the way we've planned and prepared for this game and this week. So we just control the things that we can control, and eventually they'll let us know one way or the other. But I've learned not to worry too much about those things. My concern is about McLean's health, and then my concern is getting the players that are here ready to play in the game, and that's really what we've been doing.
Our telephone number, again, 877-384-1869. Tweet your questions at Rutgers Radio. We'll take our first time out. When we come back, very special announcement coming up regarding the Chris Ash Show and its future. So stay with us for that. That is coming up when we return from Learfield IMG College. This is the Chris Ash Show.
Red 18. This season, you can share a Coke with your team on it. So I'm going to tell you how with a little help from this quarterback.
Sally, 44.
You can share a Coke when your team's up.
Red Poncho.
You can share a Coke when your team's down.
Happy Jolly.
You can even share a Coke with your rival on game day.
Chili, chili, chili.
Or you can share a Coke when you're giving out your famous guacamole recipe in a completely packed stadium.
Cilantro, chopped onion, squeeze a lime, ramen tomato, hike.
Share a Coke with a fan this season.
Ice cold, delicious.
Technology is the backbone of every business, but choosing the right technology requires time and resources most IT managers cannot spare. For 30 years, SHI International has helped businesses select, deploy, and manage IT solutions that meet their unique business goals. From end users to the cloud, SHI helps build and maintain some of the world's most complex IT environments. Find out how SHI can help your organization by visiting shi.com. That's shi.com. SHI, innovative solutions, world-class support.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something. Something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey fans, SHI helps companies select, deploy, and manage cutting-edge technology. Find out how by visiting shi.com. SHI, innovative solutions, world-class support. We have returned on this week's edition of the Chris Ash Show. Rutgers getting set to host the Boston College Eagles this coming Saturday, noon, here at SHI Stadium. We're at the Provident Bank Stadium Club, but only for tonight, and that's our big announcement. Excited for next week when we take the show over to the Rutgers Club on campus. So that's where we'll have it for the rest of the season. Newly opened last year, and it is a fantastic setup, and we're very excited to be headed there next week. Coach, you've been there a couple of times for some meals, and not too bad eats either.
No, I'm excited to move the show over there. I think it's at a great location right in the middle of Livingston campus. Right across from the rack there and the new APC Center. So great opportunity for fans to come out and check out the Rutgers Club and be on campus a little bit.
Yeah, want to have you all come out.
Yeah, it's going to be my first time over there, too, so I'm excited to see everything that's going on over on Livingston campus. Like you said, the APC Center, now the Rutgers Club. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Looks a lot different, to be sure. So make sure you join us next Wednesday night. And 7 o'clock is our are we still 7 o'clock next week? I believe so. 7 o'clock for our first show over at the Rutgers Club. By all means, come on out. And for more membership and more information, go to rutgersclub.rutgers.edu. That's rutgersclub.rutgers.edu. So we'll be there next week. So, Coach, at this point in the year, we're a couple of weeks in. You've got a bye week behind you now. So let's talk about some of the younger players that you've seen already make an impact and guys that you have seen developed as well. Give me a sense of what you've seen with those guys.
I'll start offensively. A couple of young players that have gotten a few snaps out on the game field so far that I think are going to be really good players here. Aaron Young and Kayron Adams, two running backs. Kayron is at running back, and Aaron Young's kind of a multi-purpose guy right now, kind of like Blackshear is. But those two guys have really shined in practice, and I think as we go through the season, hopefully we'll have an opportunity to play more and more for us. We've seen a little bit out of Isaiah Washington at wide receiver. I think he continues to get better and better, and excited about his future. Offensive lineman, a guy that hasn't played, but I think is going to have a bright future here is C.J. Hansen. We've kind of got him, bouncing around at multiple spots on the offensive line, but he's kind of a backup center right now. On the defense, several guys that really kind of excited about. Starting up front, a guy by the name of Devin Baldwin, defensive lineman. He's got great length, goes really hard. Malachi Burby is another young defensive lineman that's shown some flashes. He was here with us last spring. Some of the linebackers, Chris Conte, Brian Ugu, Zakudu. I won't even try to attempt to say his last name, but I just call him Z.
Smart.
Those guys, T.J. Robinson, a young safety, he might start to get in the mix as we go through the season, at least on special teams. Donald Williams, I mean, those are Darius Goodens. Those are some of the young players that I'm really fired up about.
And as you said, getting into the mix, how does it go for you as a coach and with your staff on which players should get some experience in the game, which players really showing up maybe on the special teams that might get some reps in practice? How does that go into your evaluation right in the middle of the season?
Well, with the rules the way that they are that started last year, where you can play young players in 4 games, and it doesn't matter when those games occur, that they can still preserve their red shirt. We will try to do that with the players as we go through the season. We'll wait probably till middle of the season or late in the season when injuries may start to crop up on you a little bit. We were able to do that last year, and I think it really paid dividends for some of our players that maybe didn't play on offense or defense but got their feet wet on special teams in those 4 games. And I think it really changes their approach to game day. They know what it's like to be out there. They're more confident when they go out there early in the season. And I really like the rule, and I think it benefits the players as much as anything.
Can you point to 1 or 2 guys in particular that you think really benefited from it maybe last year for this year?
Yeah, 2 defensive guys, Jarrett Paul and Christian Isian.
Yep.
Jarrett didn't play a whole lot, played on some special teams last year. Christian got into 4 games last year. Those 2 guys jump out at me. Naeem Anderson's another guy. He played in 4 games last year. He's playing on special teams again this year. So there's some others, but those guys are ones that really jump out at me that they didn't really play from scrimmage on defense, but they played on special teams, whether it be the whole year or just in 4 games.
And is that what you try to go to first to ease them into it? You try to get them on special teams before you throw them right in the mix of a defense or an offense where they have to know a lot more than, when it is running down a kickoff or having a block. Is that how you try to ease them into the game?
Well, I think that's the fastest way for young players to get on the field and impact your football team is on special teams. We take a lot of pride in our special teams. We want our best players to play on special teams, but we also will use younger players in certain roles to spell some guys throughout the season. And I think our team has really embraced special teams and the way we do it, and they really compete to try to get a spot on those units. And we constantly have the young players saying they want to help the team on special teams. They just want to be able to get on the field and do whatever they can. So we go through and evaluate every rep of offense, defense. We look at guys on the scout team. If they're doing a great job on a scout team, maybe we got to take a look at them on a special team here or there. And there's a Parker Day, for an example. I'll use him. Last year, he was a special teams guy. He was a scout team kickoff guy. He just went so hard every single day that by the end of the season, he was running down on the kickoff team against Michigan State. And it was just because of what he did on the scout team. And that's just one example. There's some other ones like that, too.
Those are your guys. You love it.
I do love my guys, and it ain't easy running down there on kickoff like that. And I respect the guys that do it, and especially my bigger guys as we run down there and make some plays.
Our telephone number again for Coach is 877-384-1869, 877-384-1869. Out of the guys that you have right now that are playing more but are doing it for the first time, who are the guys that you look at and say, we've developed them pretty well, and I'm encouraged by where they've come, be it further along in their career or still in maybe year 2 of their career overall?
Boy, you put me on a spot with that one. There's just so many players that are kind of in that role right now. We had so many young players.
Right. I tell you what, I'll throw a couple guys at you, and you tell me where they've developed. One guy who's like that to me, because he had a season-long injury, is Tyreke Maddox Williams.
Yeah.
Had that terrific
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, first year. Then he had the injury that he missed an entire season. So he's been in the program a while, but as far as being on the field and developing, I mean, this is a guy that is a huge part of your defense.
Yeah, Tyreke's got a kind of a special story. I mean, he wasn't highly recruited. He was committed somewhere, and when we got here, we were able to flip him and didn't know a whole lot about him or what he could become. And he was a defensive end, I believe, if I remember correct, in high school, but he had good speed, a track kid. We moved him to outside linebacker. His first year, he started playing as a freshman, tore a labrum in his shoulder, had to have that repaired, thought he was going to come back his second year and do some good things, tore his ACL, and got that repaired as well, and then came back last year. And just as the season went on, played more and more and more and got better and better and better. And right now he's one of the better players we have on our whole football team. I think Elam Lamore is another one. Elam, was a defensive end. He came here, I think, at 205 pounds, between 205 210. Now you look at him, he's 250 pounds, and again, has the potential to be one of our better players on our football team. And it's just through physical development, mental development, fundamental development, and you wake up one day and you look at him like, wow, look at this guy. But he didn't start that way.
And you have another guy now, a young guy. So you went into a veteran, but a young guy's on the field that's going to get a lot of playing time is Aaron Young. How do you find ways to get him on the field when you have Blackshear, you have Pacheco, but you have potential to develop him to be something special as well?
Yeah, it takes some creativity, takes some thought on how to do it, because you want to keep Isaiah and Blackshear on the field as much as you can. But, Aaron is a special young player, and we are doing some things creatively, in my opinion, right now to try to get him more involved to help us offensively. Same thing with Isaiah Washington. Again, I mentioned K-Ron Adams. Elijah Barnwell is another guy he's a young player that really he's kind of just played on special teams, but every day he's out there competing at a running back unit, and really like where he's at right now too.
I'll give you one or two more guys just to get a sense on them. On the offensive line, somebody like, Michael Maietti has been a starter here for a couple of years, but he's not a real big guy. So how does a guy like that, he's as smart as a whip, we know that, he obviously, but being a little bit undersized in this conference, how has a guy like that developed, not physically necessarily, but just all the way around to be more effective at his size at that position?
Yeah, we really kind of have three things that we talk about. Is we're out recruiting, we want smart, tough, dependable players, and that's really what Mike is. He's very intelligent, communicates well. He's really the quarterback of the offensive line. He's a technician. He plays with great fundamentals. He uses his hands well. He's always got great leverage. He's in the right spot, and he just fights you. Man, he's tough and just competes, and that's what allows him to excel right now. And not a lot of people talk about Mike Maietti because he's just quietly doing his job all the time. He doesn't really get beat. He's consistent with his snaps, and I think that's a great testament to him and his work ethic. Try to develop and be the best he can be.
The other guy I wanted to ask you about on the younger side, Raekwon O'Neil, starting now at left tackle. Where has he improved the most to be able to slide into that spot and have you be confident in his abilities?
Well, really in a number of positions. It starts just with the kind of like what I talked about with Mike. He's a smart, tough, dependable player. He got his feet wet a little bit last year, but was able to redshirt, and I think that helped him this year. He practiced up with the varsity squad all last year, and he's really improved just his overall knowledge of offensive line play, the fundamentals of it. His pass protection has really improved. He's put on a lot of weight. He's over 300 pounds. He's strong. And I think he's got a bright future for a guy that's starting at left tackle right now, and he's got basically 3.5 years to go, more than that right now. But I'm really pleased with him, and I think he's going to be fun to watch as he continues to develop.
And one more guy I wanted to ask you about on the defensive side now, defensive line, who's been in the program, I believe, 2 or 3 years now, but Mike Tverdoff. He just seems to be getting better and better, more dependable. Talk about his development and what he's meant to that defensive line room in the program.
Yeah, Mike was another one that came in, was injured, had shoulder surgery. Really played last year, coming out of a redshirt year as a freshman. We kind of played him. We had to play him out of position because of injuries. Mike came in the program. I think he was about 230 pounds. He's just over 260, right now, and that's really with about 1 full year of unrestricted lifting because of the shoulder surgery, and he's got a bright future. Again, I use those 3 words with Mike Maietti and Raekwon O'Neil. Mike Tverdoff is the same way. He's cut from the same cloth. He's just a smart player, tough player, just wants to compete to be the best he can be. He's working really hard to just get bigger and stronger, and I really like where Mike is at, and he's going to be fun to watch down the road as we go also.
Ian, when you got here, did you have to put on weight?
Right. When I got here, I came in as a 232-pound linebacker.
Right.
And the first day of training camp, I got moved to nose guard.
So you had to put
on weight.
So I had to put on
some weight. But I was always blessed with the ability to be able to put on weight, and I could always lose weight, which was great. So by the end of the year, And going into the offseason, I was already up to about 250, and then sophomore year I played at 260, and then junior year 275. So I could always go up and then lose weight at the same time.
I could do one or two of those things.
I think Ian and I had talked about this before. Talking about college football in this day and age, and just defensive line of scrimmage play. You think back to E coming in when he did and getting up to 275. That was pretty remarkable. But in this day and age, you can talk about an interior defensive lineman at 275. You're looking, man, that's small.
Yeah, 300-pounders out there now. Yeah.
And he was not playing in the 40s, by the way.
No.
This was, 10 years ago.
But he had those running back feet.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Exactly. He said, I could dance now on him.
Before we bring him in here, I got to ask you the story about how you found Adam Korsak, the punter who has done such a phenomenal job. He's going to join us here in a minute. And, of course, the young man's from Australia, so it's not exactly your traditional recruiting type story.
No, it's not. There's a kicking coach in Australia that works with a lot of the punters there. And when you look around college football and a lot of the players that have come from Australia, there's usually one or two coaches that they come from in Australia. And what they do is they send out video to college coaches around America, and they really are trying to identify, because they're coming from over there, ones that have a scholarship to give. And at that time, we received the film on Adam. We were looking to scholarship a punter. And we really took a commitment sight unseen. He hadn't been here, and we hadn't met him. We talked to him over the phone, but because of our history with that particular coach, we've been around Australian kickers at other programs. When he puts a stamp on a guy, you trust and believe him, and boy, did we hit a home run with Adam.
Yeah, no question about it. Excited to talk to him. Next, once again, you can give us a call, talk to the coach in just a little bit. We'll give him a breather now as we bring Adam in here, but our telephone number is 877-384-1869. Tweet your questions for Coach or for Adam at Rutgers Radio. Rutgers preparing for Boston College, the game on BTN noon on Saturday. Former Scarlet Knight Sean O'Hara will be on the call along with Joe Beninati, and, of course, on the Rutgers Radio Network. We'll take a break. Coach will rejoin us in just a little bit. We'll get Adam Korsak, the Rutgers punter, in here in just a moment. From Learfield IMG College, this is the Chris Ash Show.
Managing your health care can sometimes feel overwhelming. With the new Horizon Blue app from Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, you get the care and support you want right in your hands. Now you can have all of your healthcare coverage details and access to support at your fingertips. Get help scheduling appointments, find doctors and specialists, access your coverage details, get updates on your claims, see easy-to-understand cost details, and get support straight from the experts at Horizon. You can even see a doctor wherever it's most convenient for you via your smartphone or tablet. Downloading the app is easy and free. Text GET APP to 422-271 today or find it in the App Store or Google Play. There is no charge to download the Horizon Blue app, but rates from your wireless provider may apply. The Horizon Blue app. It's not just an app, it's your direct connection to care.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Today, millions of people all across America are building a life in recovery from addiction and mental illness, helping themselves
and helping each other, with friends, family, and community lending their strength and support.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
Together, we are stronger.
For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral for mental and substance use disorders, for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We have returned to the Chris Ash Show here on RVision on Facebook through Rutgers Athletics, on the Scarlet Knights app, and, of course, on 1450 AM WCTC. Chris Carlin alongside Eric LeGrand, and joining us now, Rutgers punter Adam Korsak. How are you?
Great, mate. Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
I love the mate thing.
I love him. I said, when he came up here, I was like, "Hi, mate." I grew up watching Steve Irwin and the Crocodile in the Outback, so I got questions all about Australia.
You know what? Lead off. Go ahead.
Well, first off, what was the adjustment like coming from Australia? I'm not sure what part of Australia you're from, but coming here to New Jersey now, what's the biggest thing? Because we got McLean Carter. I heard he said a lot of trees, and I'm like, we got more than trees. So what was your take when you first got to New Jersey?
I mean, when I stepped off the plane, it was January, and it was freezing.
I'm sorry, then. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was freezing, so I didn't have any, warm jackets or anything like that. I think I had just a hoodie similar to the one I'm wearing now, and yeah, that was the first initial impression. I was shocked walking off, and then obviously there's obvious things that are different, but yeah, the tree thing I'll back McLean up a little bit because there is a lot of trees around.
So, I mean, what is you're an Australian rules football player, so that's kind of how this developed. Tell us about, I mean, we know a little bit about the game for those who have seen it. There's a difference between that and rugby, but a big part of the game is having to kick through the uprights as you're running, almost as you do as a punter.
Yep. So to pass the ball, we punt it. So, I mean, we grow up when we're 5 or 6, like an American kid would grow up in their front yard with their dad throwing a baseball or throwing a football. We grow up actually punt passing to our dad. That's how a lot of kids grow up. So the punting is very natural. And that's why you see so many Australian punters, at colleges and now in the NFL, just because that's the way you have to pass the ball. You can't throw it. It's illegal, so you have to punt it.
So when you become that punter, how does that adjust to? I guess do you play any other sport? I mean, any other position growing up as a kid, or are you just strictly like a punter? Because as kids, when you play football, you play multiple positions. So when you, as I guess a punter and kicking it in rugby. Is that what you just focus on from the time you're 5 years old until whenever?
I mean, yeah, my position was a midfielder where I would run around the ground and try to get the ball as many times as I could and get it through the uprights either end. So in Australian football, which is very similar to rugby, there's not necessarily positions. It's more everyone. It's like a free-for-all. Everyone just runs around, tries to get the ball and tries to kick it, and it's full contact, 360 contact. There's no pads. It's but everyone's like me, skinny and can run a little bit. So that's the idea. Get the ball, punt it.
But you're used to getting hit then, so you can take a hit.
I mean, I don't want to take a hit for these guys because they're animals. But, I would try to avoid that. But yeah. I mean, I can take a lick, but the licks that we take are very different.
When you saw the pads, were you happy?
Well, I didn't know. I remember I come here on my official visit, and the guys were like, "All right, put that on. We'll get a few photos." And I was like, "I don't know how to put this on. You got to help me," because I had never done it before. So yeah, Well, now I'm happy to have the pads. Obviously, when I see the guys running at me. So.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about Australia, where you're from? Your background out there, what you're used to, and I guess how often you get back home. How far is that plane flight?
Well, it's 6 across to LA, and then 15 or 16 from LA to Melbourne.
Wow.
And there's a few different routes, but I think that's the quickest route. So I'm from Melbourne, Australia, which is just under Sydney. Most people know where Sydney is, so it's a 2-hour flight under Sydney. And I grew up playing most sports, as most kids do, and I loved, I was speaking with a few reporters this week about how I got into American football is like the Madden 06 game with Donovan McNabb on the cover for the Philly Eagles. That's how I learned about football. My dad brought me that. And he's like, you put it in, and he's like, play it. And he was a big fan of American football and, movies like The Program and Any Given Sunday and these type of things. So I was a big fan of American sports even whilst I was in Australia.
That's funny that you said that because, how I learned the game of soccer?
How's that?
FIFA 06.
Yeah.
FIFA 06 taught me the game of soccer, the rules, the offsides, through ball.
That's awesome.
I never knew anything about soccer until I played FIFA 06, and you talk about Madden 06. That's amazing.
Did you play a lot of soccer when you were a kid? What other sports did you get involved in?
I played cricket, which is, I don't know if you know what that is, but that's a massive sport in Australia.
It takes like 4 days to play a game.
5. Yeah, we just beat England 2-2. We retained the Ashes. This is a big deal for Australia. So shout out to Australia for that. And I played golf, I surfed, and I played Australian football and a little bit of rugby.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the golf for a second because I brought it up to you off the air and Coach Ash. I mean, when you're out there punting and you're doing what you're doing last week, it almost seems with this ball that nobody can control how it's going to bounce. that you have a control over it, that you are almost like hitting a pitching wedge from 100 yards out and sticking the green every time that you do it. Do you have a kind of a trick to being able to control how the ball is going to fly, rotate, land, anything like that?
Well, as much as I like to say I do, a lot of it does come down to luck, but you can definitely get yourself in an advantageous position. So if I'm kicking, if we're at midfield and I'm kicking into the wind, I know that I can kick it nice and high and it's going to drop, and hopefully it's going to bounce up or bounce backwards and not go into the end zone. If I'm kicking into the wind, I know I have to drive it to cut that wind a little bit. So that there is, with experience, you sort of can get, you can put yourself in the best position to be successful. But at the end of the day, that ball shapes so strangely that it is a bit of luck. But sometimes you get a good bounce, sometimes you don't. But I mean, I think I'm getting better at sort of learning the rotation, ball drop, and then how's it going to react once it hits the ground. And also stadiums have a big how the turf is on the stadium. If the turf is spongy, it's going to soak into the ground and sort of have a nice soft bounce. If the turf's hard, like out here sometimes, it can go forward or backwards hard.
So are these things that when you go on a road like you did, that you go out there and you study? What is this turf like? What is as you're trying to get a feel? We obviously know you're feeling out the wind, but what are the other things that you're evaluating?
Yep, constantly feeling the wind out. Even when we're not, going to punt, I'm thinking, what would I do here? Just trying to keep my mind active. I might look. Specialists have the perception that we don't really, look like we're doing much out of practice. But I'm also trying to keep my mind active. And I do look at the turf. Iowa had a really spongy turf, so I sort of know, what hits or what golf shots. I have to think about golf when I punt. So what shots would I hit into this wind, with the wind going in? What the stage of situation of the game is, and I'm trying to get better at that and learn. But yeah, I'm constantly thinking about punting.
Well, being from Australia too, and the time difference and everything, how often does your family get to come here to watch the game, or how do they get to watch you do what you do out there each and every week?
Yep. Well, the Big Ten Network has some type of package in Australia, and they buy that, and they get up. A lot of our games are at 12, so they get up at 2 a.m. Australian time and watch the game. Yeah, I'm so thankful. I have great parents, and my grandmother as well loves it. So. I don't think they know what's going on. They say they do, but they have no idea. And but they get up early and they watch it. So last year my dad and mom come over for the Northwestern Wisconsin game, and this year I think my dad's going to make the trip for the double Minnesota Liberty. So
okay.
That's around the same time of my birthday, October 31st. So yeah, it's exciting, and I love when they can come and sort of act like they know what they're doing.
That's awesome.
We're talking with Adam Korsak, Rutgers punter, who was honored by the Ray Guy folks last week. Won the Ray Guy Punter of the Week, and. I think everybody was stunned. There was outrage that you weren't the Big Ten punter or special teams player of the week. Do you? I don't want to say do you think about those things, but you're getting an awful lot of accolades, and you're obviously a huge part of this team with how you handle field position. So when you get involved in this, are these things that you have as goals that you're looking at?
Not necessarily goals, no. It is what it is. They're just the opinions of other people. So as long as my coaches are happy and my teammates are happy with how I'm performing, then it's not really something that's on my mind. My focus is on Boston College, and it's nice to get the recognition, but it's a bit weird accepting an award that's an individual award for there's 10 other people out there. Billy Taylor's consistently putting it on my hip. The gunners are consistently getting down there and getting on the other side of their guy to make the tackle and the protection. One guy doesn't do the right thing, that the plays are it could be bad for us. So it's a bit weird to accept that type of award for where there's so much that goes into it, an individual award for the other 10 guys, but it is what it is.
I appreciate the humbleness for that, but I ask all our guests that we have on here, especially now I want to know from you coming from Australia, where's your favorite place to eat out here?
Oh, I want to think about this because it's a tough one. There's a place just off the other side of the train tracks in New Brunswick, downtown New Brunswick. It's called Blackthorn. It's an Irish restaurant.
Okay.
That's my favorite place to eat.
We are not known for our food. I'm 100% Irish, and we are not known for our food.
Well, you know what? There's a shepherd's pie there,
okay,
which I got in Australia, which I really liked, and it's very similar to that. So whenever I'm getting a bit homesick, I generally try to head down there, and it's off campus, away from the college craziness, which is every day it seems like here. So I get off campus and go there and eat, and on campus I would say Diesel and Duke. Yeah.
Days I
I saw where the place was on East Avenue.
Yep,
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it last week after we heard about it a couple of weeks ago on the show.
I gotta go check that place out. But what is a shepherd's pie?
It's like a it's almost like a they cook it differently here, but it's mashed potatoes on top,
Okay,
like a minced beef or a minced meat in the middle, and then it's got peas and carrots and onions. It's a whole mixture of thing, and you mix it up, and it's almost like a how would you describe it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's almost like a chicken pot pie, but with other stuff in it, and it's just baked kind of the same way.
Hold the peas, and I'm good.
A little birdie told me that you made a trip to Outback with Damon Hayes.
Yep.
Fill me in here.
Yeah, he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing. Let's go to Outback." So I was like, "All right." Everyone's been telling me I got to go there, and Coach Ash wants to go there as well. Yeah, he's a busy man though, you know. Yeah, but I went with Damon, and Damon's like, "Yeah, you got it. It's awesome. I love it." All right, I'm looking at the menu. I don't know what's on the actual menu. Damon gets chicken tenders, which is the most American thing I've ever seen. Yeah, but I mean, it's a marketing ploy. I mean, Outback's, it's great and all, but it's a marketing
Are you saying
ploy.
that the Outback Steakhouse is not identical to eating on the Outback? Is that what you're saying?
I am saying. I'm calling him out.
And all the kangaroos and all the stuff out there. Bro.
And then the waitress comes up, and she's like, "Where are you from? You got a different accent." I'm like, "I'm from, you should know." You know?
From Australia.
He sounds like he was very disappointed. And his trip to Outback Steakhouse, it was not the same.
Yeah, she's from Manalapan. She's not from Australia. One or two more before we let you go. First of all, good-looking shirt you got on here from Mr. LeGrand. The entire team was out there today getting their picture taken with it, Eric, and it's pretty awesome. And this shirt's been selling great, benefiting Team LeGrand as well.
Yeah. So the black ones that you see, the whole team wore them today, and that was in recognition of Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month because September is for Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month. So when I approached William Gilkerson, and he told the whole staff and everything, saying he wants to get them for everybody, and I got here today, and you see players walking around with the staff, and they took a whole picture. So just some more support of this, and I am starting a campaign with the white ones in October for National Disability Awareness Month, and that will get started up this Friday when I put it up on Instagram. So looking forward to that. And you look good in that shirt, man. I like it on you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Adam, for you, just before we let you go, it's been an incredible journey for you. I can only imagine. I mean, just when you think about coming from where you came from to the other side of the world, quite literally, and doing something that you probably wouldn't have even thought of as a kid growing up, what's that like? Because none of us would really ever experience something like that, where you're completely changing your entire outlook and moving to the other side of the world to do something that you didn't grow up learning about.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity to come here and, get a degree and just get that life experience, which, take away football, it's just an amazing opportunity to experience something new. And I could have stayed in Australia and worked and made some money and maybe got a house and got a car loan and been tied down. But I've sort of, thought, it'd be an amazing opportunity to come here, and there's plenty of time for that later. So, and on top of that, I get to play football and run out in front of crowds and make great friends, and it's awesome being a part of a team again, and it's an amazing opportunity, and I can't thank Rutgers and Coach Ash and his whole staff enough, and how the players have treated me. It's been an amazing opportunity, and I'm just excited for the future, and on to BC this week, which I can't wait for.
And last thing I just got for you is, I guess, the Outback life. How often have you been out to the Outback life and being able to see all the animals out there, and then I guess compared to right here outside New Brunswick?
Yep. Well, I lived in an urban area. My sister actually lives in a rural area, so I'm constantly out there. And a big animal, well, two big animals actually, is a kangaroo and a koala. So I would just touch on them. Kangaroos are not cuddly at all, so don't get near them.
So don't they kick?
They kick, they punch, and they're very aggressive. They got claws. Stay away from them. And a koala, very shy and is up in a tree. I mean, but the middle of Australia is a desert. It's the Outback. It's the real deal out there. So
and no snake life.
I mean, I don't want to see a snake. Yeah, they get vicious, them things.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, continued success. You've been a tremendous weapon for this team so far, and we hope to see more of it. Good luck.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Adam Korsak, Rutgers punter, and of course the recipient of last week's Ray Guy Punter of the Week. We'll take a break. More to do with the head coach, Chris Ash, in moments from Learfield IMG College. This is the Chris Ash Show.
It's after hours. You're stuck at work. You're feeling lousy. There are those times when you need to see a doctor, but you just can't get there. So what do? Where do you go? You go to the RWJ Barnabas Health Telemed app, and you get to see the doctor right away. Whenever you want, wherever you are, on whatever device you choose. It's that simple and that convenient. No appointment necessary for access to doctors who all meet our high standards. In fact, you can even see physician profiles and read about doctors who fit your needs and match your symptoms. But most importantly, you get a diagnosis when you need it, where you want it, 24/7. Download Telemed from RWJ Barnabas Health at the App Store or visit rwjbh.org/telemed. Now you can see the doctor even when you can't go to the doctor. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
We depend on our drinking water supply daily, but where does that water come from? Your water provider encourages you to get to know your local water source so together we can protect and preserve it. The investments we make as a community to protect our water source now ensure we have a sustainable drinking water supply for the future. Visit drinktap.org to learn more. This message is brought to you by the American Water Works Association and your local water provider.
We have returned to the Provident Bank Stadium Club for this week's edition of the Rutgers head coach Chris Ash Show. SHI helps companies select, deploy, and manage cutting-edge technology. Find out how by visiting shi.com. SHI Innovative Solutions, world-class support. Okay, so you're getting ready for Boston College this week, and I know one thing that you really wanted to stress and was in the papers when you first got here, the idea of the regional the regional rivalry, so to speak, and getting a chance now to have BC back in the schedule for the first time since they were in the Big East with Rutgers back in the early 2000s. First of all, the idea behind wanting to have the regional rivalries versus some of the games that Rutgers had booked that they opted to go out of and try to play some of these other games.
Well, I think if you're going to go play a Power 5 school or just another good Division I football team, and you can do it close to home, why wouldn't you do it? You know, if it matches up with them and they have interest in doing it and you can work out a schedule, it's better for the fans, for both schools. They can travel easily to the games. It's less expensive, to get on a bus and drive to some of the closer universities for away games, them coming here, us going there. So, and it's a good opponent. An ACC opponent that has had a ton of success and has played has history with Rutgers. So it just makes sense to me. Right now. We're just worried about improving and trying to get our team better. But, back when we were looking at non-conference scheduling, we wanted to try to get some more regionals, some more, games that the fans would be really excited about and be able to travel to.
And when you talk about the fans more, talk about how important it was. I've been seeing all week long talk about the fans coming out to the game, especially that student section on how much it helped you in week one. How important and pivotal will they be for now week 3 with Boston College coming in.
It'd be huge, man. We just love our fans, the ones that came for the UMass game, brought their energy, brought their passion, enthusiasm for the game, and when we got down early in that game, to have them there and use them to help create some momentum and energy in the stadium was everything. The student section was rocking. It was one of the best we've had, and if we can get to a point where we're creating that environment every week, man. That's really what you want. That's what this league is all about, and it does make a difference. It's home field advantage for a reason, and that's what they help create. And I'm hoping that our fans and our student section all come out and see this Big Ten ACC matchup. Two regional teams here that are going to go head-to-head, and should be a good college football afternoon.
We'll chat more about it next. One more time out on this week's edition of the Chris Ash Show.
Your bank records are secure. Your first grader can write code. Your package is being delivered, and your driver is 1 minute away. As technology enhances our everyday lives, SHI International ensures the schools and businesses developing new technologies have the tools and expertise they need to compete and win in the ever-changing global marketplace. Find out how SHI supports the business and technical needs of more than 20,000 of the world's most complex IT organizations by visiting SHI.com. That's SHI.com. SHI, innovative solutions, world-class support.
Cold? Cough? Flu symptoms? Sounds like you should see a doctor. So where do you go? You go to the RWJ Barnabas Health Telemed app, and you get to see the doctor right away, whenever you want, on whatever device you choose. It's that simple and that convenient. No appointment necessary. Download Telemed from RWJ Barnabas Health at the App Store, or visit rwjbh.org/telemed. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Rutgers head coach Chris Ash. We got a couple minutes left here on his weekly show. Steve Adazio, head coach of Boston College, and the Eagles come to town this week. What can you tell us to expect from BC?
A very good football team. They're a physical football team. They are built at the line of scrimmage. They've been really good up front on both sides of the ball. They want to run the ball and play action on offense. I think their running backs, quarterback, are very good players, a good offensive line, good scheme. Defensively, they lost a lot of good players last year, some experience, but they've replaced them with some really good players too. They're just young and they're learning on the job, so to speak. And but it's going to be a big physical test for us, and excited about it. But it's a good team, and looking forward to playing the game.
Can you give us a little bit some keys, I guess, to the game on what you see from their offense and on the defensive side on? This is what needs to exactly happen out there on the game for.
Well, the first and foremost, the number one key to victory every week is going to be take care of the ball. Our plan to win, winning that turnover battle is really key, and we have not done that yet this season. And for us to have success moving forward, we need to do that. We need to do that Saturday against Boston College. Special teams are going to be a factor. We've got to play really good on defense. That's their strength is their offense. They really test your rules. They test the perimeter of the defense. They're going to test you down the field with a bunch of different play actions and some tricks and gadgets every single game. So, our eyes and our discipline is really going to be tested against a team like this. And then, on the offense, we've got to be able to run the football, and we've got to be able to, get some shots down the field and score some points.
Coach, good luck this week. Looking forward to being back home.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Good luck, Coach.
Rutgers and BC That's coming up on Saturday at noon on BTN and on the Rutgers Radio Network. Thanks again for joining us on this week's edition of the Chris Ash Show. And don't forget, next week we will be at the Rutgers Club here on campus, on the Livingston campus. By all means, come on down. For more information, go to rutgersclub.rutgers.edu. We'll see you Saturday here at SHI Stadium. For Eric and the coach, this is Chris Carlin speaking. Have a good week, everybody.
You've been listening to the Chris Ash Show on the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Tonight's show has been brought to you by The preceding has been a Learfield IMG College presentation of the Rutgers Sports Network.